Well, New Democrats were quick to criticize the federal government, as I said to Mona Fortier, accusing Liberals of dropping the ball after nearly 2 years of negotiations. With more on their thoughts, we're now joined by Alexandre Boulerice, Labour critic and the deputy leader for the NDP. Mr. Boulerice, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, your party says the Liberals are the ones who essentially bear responsibility for this strike. Why do you say that?
We say that because, what is on the table right now is really unacceptable and not reasonable. If you look at the inflation and the high cost for everything, including grocery or housing, the Liberals are asking the public servants to get to lose their power to buy necessities in life and to be poorer, in fact, because every year when you're below inflation, you get more poor than you were a little bit before, the year before. And we don't agree with that. I think we need to respect our public servants and public services and be competitive and attractive on the working market. And it's not the case with what the Liberals are offering. So I totally understand the union to be mad and say that our members deserve better, and think that they have a really good point.
So right now, the government, the Treasury Board, is offering 9% across 3 years. The Labour Union, they are asking for, I believe, about 13.5 across that same time period. If you were in government then, if it were the NDP, would you just give that amount to the Public Service Alliance?
Oh, in a negotiation, both sides need to make compromise, and you don't get everything you ask at the beginning of the negotiation. I'm from the labor movement. I know that on both sides you have to accept things that you were not ready at the beginning of the discussions. But it's how we do things in Canada, and I think that Liberals should respect that, and I think they need to increase a little bit, because at 3% per year, when the inflation rate is at 7 or 8%, this is not acceptable for it's tens of thousands of families that will be impacted by that. They have worked really hard in difficult conditions during the pandemic. I think they deserve better and more respect from the Liberals. So we encourage both parties to continue to negotiate and have a good deal for everyone.
Yeah, you say 7-8%, but those are the numbers that we are looking at towards the end of the last year. We heard from Tiff Macklin yesterday, the Bank of Canada governor. He expects interest rates to be down around 3% by the end of this calendar year, down to 2% by the beginning of next. Is it fair then that the Treasury Board is saying, look, if you look at where this is headed, inflation will get more under control and more in line with what's being offered? But
we want to be very clear about something, is that their collective agreement ended 2 years ago. So we have to take in consideration those 2 years where they didn't get any hike or increase in their revenue and salary. And those 3 years of the proposition on the table right now, the first 2 years are included in those 3 years. So we cannot just say, oh, it's going to be better next spring or next year, because we are looking in the past mostly right now.
Well, it was interesting to hear from the Treasury Board, because they make the argument that if they actually give unions what they want, that would actually end up having a negative effect on the kinds of services the government could deliver to Canadians. How do you respond to that?
I would say quite the opposite, because the fact that the public servants' working conditions are not competitive on the market right now makes it very difficult to retain people at their jobs, and we see a big shift in employees. It has consequences on the quality of services that Canadians and citizens will receive. Let's get an example on EI. I was talking with president of a local union. The vast majority of her members are there since the last 18 months. So if you look at the training, formation, experience, the capacity to make the good decisions, it has already had an impact on the quality of services. So, I'm not saying give everything that the union is asking for, but there's a real consequences on the citizens if their working conditions are not good enough and they have to train new employees all the time. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's already known that your party will never support back-to-work legislation if it should come to that. No one said that it will quite yet, but are you worried about that possibility?
We are really worried because we all know that back-to-work legislation, or even the threat or the possibility of a back-to-work legislation, make that the Treasury Board have no incentive to negotiate in good faith, because they can sit down and wait for the bill and wait for the back-to-work legislation, so it breaks the balance at the negotiation table. And we at the NDP, we believe in the rights, fundamental rights of workers, and also the freedom to exercise pressure tactics and to have a free negotiation process. And back-to-work legislation is always only on one side, and it's always against the workers. So we urge Liberals not to do it, and if they do it, we'll never vote in favor.
Alexandre Boulerice, thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, my pleasure.